Half hour of Spanish. We begin with Athletic Director Tom Holmoe. Glad to have you here.
It's good to
Did
be
you sleep
here,
well
Robbie.
last night, getting ready for this?
Well, yeah, I slept very well. We had a late reception last night for my son, wedding reception, and early morning, so I'm ready to go.
Son marrying the star of the women's soccer team, so we'll be seeing you on the pitch a lot this fall,
Well, we got to
right?
keep it in the BYU athletic family.
All right, good that we'll keep it in there. As you get ready here for the second annual Media Day, what's the purpose of the BYU Football Media Day?
We have an opportunity to bring together our athletic department, football staff, players, the BYU broadcast crew, and bring in all the media that cover the Cougars, a lot locally, some from across the country, and introduce this year's 2012 edition of Cougar Football. It's a great opportunity to bring everyone to this beautiful facility and say, hey, here we go again, hope springs eternal, Cougar football from years past, present, and into the future. We bring it all together for this special day.
Last year we had this for the first time as you went forward into independence. This year it's a little earlier though, in June. Why the earlier date for Media Day?
Well, it's always good to be first. You'll know that in the next couple of weeks you'll be seeing media days from all the different conferences. Individual schools will try to do something on their own, but it's going to be quick. You're going to see a lot of these in the next few weeks, and before you know it, we'll be kicking off the season.
Got any gems for us today? Any schedule announcements or anything?
No, we're going to keep that out. There's always some scheduling that's going on, and we thought that we might be able to dot a few I's and cross a few T's and have some things ready, but in scheduling you can't really force it. You don't really want to put something out there that's not completely finished. I did that once or twice in the early days and learned my lesson, so until it's signed, sealed, and delivered, we did not bring it out.
You've alluded to 2013 and 2014, specifically end of the year, so I know there's some things in the works. What are some of those I's and T's that need to be dotted and crossed before you can announce things? There's so many little things that need to be done before it's a done deal.
We're pretty eager at BYU with an independent schedule to put it together. We're talking to teams from all over the country, and some of the teams that we talk to, they'll agree in principle to a deal, but it might not be the best timing for them in relation to their conference, to scheduling, thinking about TV, maybe for their own media, in timing with what's going on their campus. So we're pretty accommodating when we work with the big schools to make sure that it's best for them and that we know we're going to get the game, but we'd rather do it at where we both agree it's the right time so that they continue to want to schedule us in the future.
And Hawaii confirmed today that next year that date has been moved into December again. Is that correct, like last year's?
We're working on a number of different things. I'm not really ready to fill all that in, but Hawaii's been a great partner, a great regional rivalry from the past that we've been able to get back now. And they've been very flexible with us, and with them moving into a new conference, there are some technicalities, I guess that you'd say, just to make sure that everything's final.
Some of us just think it's great to go to Hawaii in December, so we're pushing for that.
Yeah, that has a little bit to do with scheduling them there late. But, they like to come out here early in the season because a team from Hawaii playing BYU in November, December doesn't really fit very good. So they like playing us out here early, so it's warm and kind of accommodating for them. We like to go back there so we can get into the warmth. So they've been good. Jim Donovan, their athletic director, played at Hawaii back when I played, so we have a long-standing relationship, and it's fun to be able to go into the future scheduling games with them.
You're going to have them in Provo early this year. As we look at the schedule for this coming year, it's great for just the second year of independence, especially all the ESPN games that we're going to have.
Well, ESPN's been such a fantastic partner, and to look at the first couple weeks of the season and realize that we're going to be on a lot. You get the BYUtv game live with Weber State, but there's a couple stretches in the season that are pretty darn tough. I'm looking at that Oregon State Notre Dame at Georgia Tech about midway through, and by that time we'll figure out if we're going to be any good or not.
Is ESPN still helping out with scheduling?
Oh yeah, Dave Brown from ESPN, Elon from ESPN, and their people have been so great. And so we have a relationship where we're a good partner for ESPN, and that they still have a lot of conferences that they work with. So as their big schools have little intricacies in their schedule that they need a little help with, ESPN will come to us and ask us maybe to adapt a little bit. So sometimes you might see us move a game once we maybe have put it on a schedule. We might put a date, release a date for 13 or 14, and then maybe in 12 or 13, change that date. It's to accommodate some other people because sometimes those people are accommodating to us. And you want to be a good partner, and you give a little bit, you take a little bit, and when all's said and done, you have a lot of friends out there and you play some good college football.
And because of that, you've moved some to Thursdays and Fridays this coming season, so prime time for BYU.
Well, it's kind of an interesting discussion with the BYU fans because we have people all over the world that want to see the BYU games. They can see it on BYUtv, they can see it on ESPN, they can watch it on the internet through BYU Broadcasting, and we feel that at this point in our program, it's really important to get that exposure on a national and worldwide basis. Now, the people that are local, they don't necessarily like those Thursday and Friday night games or late Saturday night games. So you have to kind of balance it out and try to help out both of them. You can't do it, Robbie. You can't help out everybody at the same time. You're going to make some people happy and some people are going to be mad. But in the end, what we're going to really try to do is what's best for the BYU football program. And being on national TV on a Thursday or Friday night, that really works for us well.
Now, I've always been curious, how do these conversations start with teams that you're going to schedule with? I'm assuming that there's not some forum, some website that you go to on a message board and say, hey, we're looking for a game. How do those conversations
start? It's like
start?
this. Hey, Robbie, I'm Tom Holmoe, the athletic director of BYU. Hey, we've admired your program for so long, and we'd really like to play a game.
That
what
easy,
do you think? Do you have any openings? That's how it starts. It's an easy opening. But usually from there it takes a couple months or into a year to kind of go back and forth. But you really just have to ask. And we have friends around the country, and as I ask somebody about a date, they'll say, we're stuck on that date. We're already used up. But I know I was talking to Miami the other day, and they're looking for a game on that weekend, so give them a call. So it's kind of like a puzzle. And I can't.
It's a tight-knit group. You want to help each other out.
Well, you do. Some people want to help, and some people really don't want to help. But in the end, it's a good group of people, and they've really helped us in putting together a good program. People like playing BYU. There are a lot of people, when they have an opportunity to come to the Wasatch Front, you'll see fans and the football players and coaches that come into LaVell Edwards Stadium for the first time, and they're just like, their eyes are wide open, and they can't believe how tall the mountains are. Here, being a BYU student or living in Utah, we see the mountains all the time. So where we would be in awe maybe of going to somewhere on the beach where there's a beautiful campus, or if you're going to one of the legendary places like South Bend. So I think it's just great for college football and for BYU for us to go to the different regions, different areas of the country, and play in the storied stadiums.
We've had some fans that have been submitting questions for you, some of them relating to the stadium. The scoreboard have been taken down. The new ones are going up. Are those on schedule to be done by opening day? Can't see them from here.
I sure hope so. No, they are. It's tough. It's difficult when you're dealing with ordinances and work permits and the city and the neighbors and the stadium. There's a lot of issues that come into putting in a new scoreboard. But it was time, and it's going to be beautiful. We have the north and south end LED boards going up on both ends. I think it's going to be great service for the people that come to BYU, our fans that come to the LaVell Edwards Stadium for the games. It's going to have some nice pop, and it'll be a great way for them to see replays, see special presentations, and just overall fan enhancement.
Worst case scenario, you go like Wrigley Field and just manually change the scoreboard, right?
Do you want to do it?
I'm a Cubs fan, so I love Wrigley Field. I'll volunteer to do it.
No,
it's a great seat in the house.
That's past. We'll look at that. I'm sure we have some film in the archives of that when the stadium was over by the Richards Building. But this is modern technology, and you're going to see something really special this fall.
The new video boards, the Marriott Center undergoing renovations right now. Do you have future plans to renovate LaVell Edwards Stadium?
Well, we always are looking out ahead, and it's always important to forecast where we're going to be. I think the things with the Marriott Center are important to keep that sweet stadium. People will come, basketball teams come in, and they walk in, and it's cavernous. It's one of the biggest basketball arenas in the country. People will look at that arena and ask, wow, how old is this? This is like 10, 15 years old, and it's 40 years old. So we have to do certain things to keep it up to date and upgrade it and make sure that it doesn't come old and dilapidated. We do play in some football stadiums and some arenas around the country, different facilities that are really not kept up. So BYU's done a fantastic job through the years with both the stadium and the arena, and the Marriott Center and LaVell Edwards Stadium. just to make make it clean, make it look efficient, all the things that turn it, it kind of add to the environment of a great college athletic event.
I've been to a lot of stadiums. LaVell Edwards Stadium, one of the loudest. Certainly having the mountains there helps. Any chances that we can close up those open areas there and make it even louder?
You could bowl in that stadium. The one thing you got to consider at that time are those aren't the best seats. I think it would look nice for the aesthetics, and it's a lot easier to put in those corner seats than to add another deck. It gets exponentially more expensive when you have to go up and do those decks. So I'd say right now that if we are able to have a couple years, maybe if we had 5 years in a row of sellouts, then we might be able to put in those corners. But we got to make sure that we're stuffing everybody into it as much as we can. And then if we really have a great need to expand, that would be a good thought.
Another question coming asking about the student section. Do you anticipate that moving in the near future, maybe getting them all together?
Well, we've been talking about this at LaVell Edwards Stadium for a couple years, but there are some logistical issues with the band and with sound and with general admission for the students. And we've been working with the students on that for a number of years. And we're hoping, one of the things had to do with the scoreboards and the sound system. So we're hoping that hopefully not this upcoming season, but maybe by the next season, we'll be able to put all the students together. Now that might be end zone into sideline, maybe by the tunnel where the Cougars come out, or maybe on the other side. But there's a lot of constituencies to consider, and it's not always the easiest move in the world to make.
We're obviously getting a lot of questions about conference realignment, the new playoff system that was approved yesterday. These are all things that are going to be addressed in the next hour in the state of the program, so we don't want to steal the thunder now, but give us a taste of what we're going to see in the next hour.
Well, I think there'll be some discussion. Obviously, there's going to be some discussion about conference alignment. And as you look today, they announced from yesterday, you came across in the papers, the media outlets, some of the details, but they don't have all the details. So what we'll talk about today will be what we've heard or what's been reported. I think that as I read and saw some of the stories on the BCS, well, it's not even really BCS anymore, but on the new playoff system, that it's good. I think it's an improvement from the past, but there's still a lot of details, fine lines to fill in. And we're going to learn about those in the days and weeks to come. And I think probably by the end of this year, the college football fans will have a pretty clear picture of how it's going to go. But there's some important things for BYU football regarding these changes. And we have our hand in the mix right there, trying to make sure that what's good for BYU it comes through.
How are you involved in those discussions or decisions? I mean, is Notre Dame's athletic director kind of your voice in that puzzle?
Well, Jack Swarbrick at Notre Dame is a friend, and their associates. We have an opportunity to have the two schools meet up in football, and they're just a great example of what's good in college athletics. So we look at them as an example. Jack and Notre Dame have a seat with the other big conferences, and so they do represent us kind of unofficially. I think it's more of a matter of communicating to Jack and getting feedback and trying to let him feel where we're at. We'll also talk to the people in the BCS. Bill Hancock is the executive director, a real good man, and he represents all of those conference commissioners. Now, he's an administrator. The conference commissioners are the ones that make the decisions. Bill doesn't vote on that, but he's really good about keeping all the partners in the college football involved and informed on what's going on. We'd like to be able to have more and more of input and more of a place at the table, but for the time being, we're working through many of these issues like everybody else is to try to find out exactly where we can be to put forward our best effort to move BYU forward as best we can.
Okay, there is no off season when you're the athletic director. You work year-round. We appreciate you being here. You were on the radio early this morning, here for the web chat, and we'll see you on BYUtv at the top of the hour for the state of the program.
Well, it's a great day for BYU football to be able to come back for our second annual media day. No other school in the country does this. They could put something together, but it would be really small time compared to what we have here at BYUtv, and we're grateful to all the people at BYUB that make it possible. And now we're hoping that we can have a great season and start working on media day number 3.
All right.
It's just a year away.
You're welcome. Thanks to BYU Athletic Director Tom Holmoe for kicking off our web chats.